The J. Michael Show.
Welcome to today's show. We have a wonderful guest. The fabulous Julia Sanford is with us. Let's meet her. Julia, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on to the show. You began your career as a dancer, correct?
I did.
Tell me about that.
Well, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and my mom, when I was a little girl, decided to take me to ballet class she never thought it would go anywhere. But I fell in love with ballet, and that's what I wanted to do for years and years. And even through college, I studied it and everything. And I danced in regional companies and regional performances around Alabama and the Southeast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that I was not going to probably ever that was really not going to be my major career. So I moved to San Francisco at some point. Well, actually, I'd moved to Utah to get my master's degree actually in choreography because I thought maybe that's the way I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm. Ended
up going to San Francisco and studying at American Conservatory Theater and becoming an actor instead of a dancer. I still love dance, but I felt like my talent was really acting more than it was dance. So I transitioned to being an actor, and I love it. I've always loved it still love it after all these years.
Yeah. What was your first role on television or movies?
It was, let's see. Not commercials. We're not talking about commercials, right? You want my first.
Your first acting role in a show, yeah.
It was on a soap opera, and it was an under 5, and I don't really remember much about the character. But it was after I moved to LA, and I auditioned for Days of Our Lives, and I had a little role on that. And then I went on. What did I do next after that? Wings. I was on Wings, an episode of Wings.
Mm-hmm.
I think the same year, and that was so much fun. That was so much great show, and that's where I met Tony Shalhoub. He was such a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
Such one of the nicest guys in the world. Also that year, what else did I do? General Hospital. I had a recurring on General Hospital for a while. That was a really great gig. It was regular, steady pay for a while, and and I met some great women. One of whom I'm still close to today, a close friend today. And that started it all off.
But you began also doing commercials. What commercials did you do?
Yeah, my first commercial was actually in San Francisco. It was for a paint. Forget the name of the paint, but that doesn't matter. I don't remember. That's the job that got me into the union, into SAG, because I got Taft-Hartley'd on that. And about a year after I did that commercial, I moved to LA. So my goal was, excuse me, my throat's itching.
Yeah, fine.
Thanks. I moved to LA. I wanted to get into the union before I moved to LA, because that was the advice that was always given to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that commercial, got into the union. A year after that, moved to LA, and kept doing commercials. In fact, my first agent was a commercial agent. And I did, it's all a blur now. I did several national commercials. One was a car commercial, which I played a real estate agent in that. And it was at the time, I used to get always told that I looked like Annette Bening. And it was the time that she did, I think it was American Beauty, where she played a real estate agent. And it may be, I don't know, I don't want to, downgrade, I don't want to diss my talent, but I think might have gotten that commercial because I looked a little bit like Annette Bening. And then I did a regional California lottery commercial, which was a lot of fun. Got a lot of play all over California. Um, and several other commercials that I did that were national. I honestly can't remember them all now.
Yeah. Yeah. But you've also done stage work too. Do you prefer stage or film?
I love them both for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
My first love actually is stage. And I think that aside from acting classes, that's where I got a lot of valuable training because, you're out there, anything that goes wrong, you just have to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. It was a transition from, dancing on stage to actually having to use words on stage.
Yeah.
It was a bit challenging, but actually I think all my life, even as a kid, I did a few plays as a kid and I knew that I really loved that. And then I got kind of sidetracked into ballet because I loved that too.
Yeah.
But I guess I would say if I had to choose one between film and stage, it would be stage.
Uh-huh.
But there's also a lot to be said for film work.
Yeah.
You can be a lot more intimate. And I love both of them.
Yeah. What was your first major movie?
I guess you would say, I guess it would be The Prestige.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about that role.
That was, interestingly enough, I didn't have any lines except I had to scream. It was a lot of fun because I had to spend the day between Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale standing on a stage in an old theater in downtown LA that was, we have some gorgeous theaters down there
Mm-hmm.
that were built in the I guess the 30s, 40s. So the Prestige takes place in like the 1890s. So I had to have that kind of period costume on. And the movie is about the rivalry between a good magician and a bad magician.
Uh-huh.
Hugh Jackman was the good one, Christian Bale the bad one. So I was just a volunteer that came up out of the audience to do a trick.
Mm-hmm.
Hugh Jackman was the magician on stage. And then Christian Bale came up, and nobody realized at the time he had nefarious intent.
Mm-hmm.
And the trick went bad. There was a bird in a cage, and the trick went bad. The cage collapsed, caught my hand.
Oh, good.
And I don't even know what we want to think happened to the bird. But yeah, I had to scream. And so I guess my scream is kind of famous and to this day. But it was a lot of fun.
Do you prefer comedy or drama?
I guess my first instinct is to say drama because I love that. I love getting deep into emotion, deep into a character and communicating that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I do comedy, I'm like, yeah, I love those laughs, especially like we said on stage where the laughs are immediate and you can hear them and you get that energy back from the audience. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually funnier than I ever thought. I never thought of myself as funny growing up. And then I realized, I can be funny. And so it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to make people laugh.
Right. Right. You've done a number of television shows, Mad Men, Criminal Minds, Monk, Scrubs, General Hospital also. Did you like doing serial soap operas, say, opposed to doing a episode of the week?
I liked doing the soap opera. It was nice because, like I said, you could count on that job, Mm-hmm. It was for a while there. It was a weekly thing, and it was really fun to be. We had a group of women that we did all of our scenes together, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Uh-huh.
But doing shows like Scrubs, that experience was so much fun.
Uh-huh.
That show was. They did a lot of improv on that show.
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was just having a good time.
Right.
So I'd say that I enjoyed that a whole lot.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed that a lot.
You also did a movie, Something's Gotta Give. Do you have any stories from the set of that movie?
I don't really, because I was there. I was only on the set one day.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, and what was I going to say? I remember that because I was playing an actor that was in still photos on stage that were going to be used. They were supposed to be used. It was Diane Keaton's premiere of her Broadway play that she was writing, and I was one of the actors. We were up there shooting, and then realizing that Jack Nicholson was in the audience watching was kind of it was exciting and scary at the same time. I don't know why scary, but I had a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And anything from Butterfly Caught that you want to tell us, a story or something?
No, I have. That was it. It was just indie film experience.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting in somebody's house, up in Topanga Canyon. Interesting cast. Interesting. I don't really have any wild stories about that. I just remember we were supposed to be FaceTiming.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to deal with that. They had a lot of technical issues with that. So I don't have any real interesting stories from from Butterfly Caught.
Okay. Well, I mean, you've done a whole lot of things. Is there anything that stands out that to you in your career as, okay, that was major? I'm really glad I was in that.
Let's see. Well, I mentioned Scrubs. I was a great series, and I really had a good time doing that. Prestige too. That became a movie that a lot of people watch, and it's really well done.
Mm-hmm.
What else have I done? I did a Christmas movie a couple of years ago called Yuletide the Knot.
Yes.
And
I was going to ask you about that one too, but go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go ahead now?
Yeah.
That one was a lot of fun. I auditioned for that. Right before the pandemic happened. Mm-hmm. And I remember I had a call back like a couple of days before everything shut down. Uh-huh. So, of course, I never heard anything else about it. And I know they tried to go ahead, but they got shut down. Uh-huh. Then, like a year later, I believe, it was the end of 2021, I saw that they were casting for Yuletide the Knot again. So I know the casting directors, and I think I emailed them and said, I want to audition again for this. I don't know what happened, but I feel like this is my part. I want to do this. Mm-hmm. So my agent, got me an audition, did a self-tape, sent it in, didn't hear anything for a couple months. So I gave up, and then in March, I finally hear that they want to cast me. And so it was very, very, I was really, really happy about that.
Yeah.
And we got to go to Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and shoot for a week at the end of March. Yeah. And the director wanted to keep snow because, in Christmas movies, you got to have snow.
Right.
It's a requirement. And we had a heat wave in Steamboat Springs. So luckily up at where we were shooting in a ranch up above the town, it was a little bit colder up there and there was a little bit more snow left on the ground. And she was like, nobody walk in the snow. Nobody touch the snow. Don't mess the snow up. We got the movie made. Actually, one night we had a night shoot and it was 19 degrees outside. So we definitely had our share of cold weather.
Yeah.
And it's a really sweet movie. I'm really glad I did that. It was really, really sweet.
Yeah.
And it was like, I had always wanted to do a Christmas movie. So.
Right.
It was
You
fun.
mentioned that was before the pandemic. Did the writer's strike affect you in any way, or good or bad?
Well, it just led to a year last year in 2023 of almost no work at all,
Hmm.
which, started with the writer's strike, then went into the actor's strike. And before that, there wasn't a lot of work because the studios were trying to figure out what to do, what was going to happen if there was a strike. And, so they didn't want to start projects and then have to stop them in the middle.
Right.
So it affected the industry as a whole, and it's still not back to what it was a year later.
Mhm.
You know, People are still struggling to find work, and actors, and I just was reading even some writers, it hasn't gotten back to where it was. So the industry is still contracting a bit,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that it figures out where it's going to land pretty soon. I think it will,
Hmm.
but it's going to be I think it's challenging for a few more months
Right.
to get to work and to find support jobs, because a lot of people I know I know of people who have left the industry, including producers and people
Right.
that just say, I can't do this anymore. I got to make a living.
Were
So,
you active during the strike? Did you picket?
oh yeah, yeah. I really feel going back to 2000, the SAG commercial strike. I was really active in that, so of course I felt like I had to be active again. And yeah, I had my home picket every day was Warner Brothers. Everybody sort of settled into, some people went around to all the different ones. I went to Disney a few times and picketed there. Um, but people sort of settled into their regular picketing spot. So mine ended up being Warner Brothers, and we got to know everybody. We got to know people that we had never met before in the industry, and there's just there's a lot of comradeship. Is that a word?
Yeah.
That
We'll accept it as a new word.
okay, all right. There's just it does bring people close together, and in the acting industry, it can be a solitary thing, because if you're not working, you're auditioning at home now.
Hmm.
Unless you get a job, you're not often out with other actors. I mean, we take classes and all, but it's a little different. So to see everybody every day and walk that circle, that perimeter every day, we really got to know each other,
Hmm.
and we sort of missed each other when it was over. We were kind of sad.
Yeah.
But it was also to me, it's very uplifting to do that and stand up for what you believe in and stand up for your fellow union members. So, yeah.
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 Today's auditioning versus old style in the room with the producer, director, or whatever auditioning. You do it mostly digital now. Do you prefer it this way or the old way?
I don't think there's any real substitute for being in the room with casting, because they can give you adjustments right there, and they get more of a feel for who you are in the room. So that's a good thing. And casting, it feels the same way. There are some elements about self-taping that I like, though.
Such as?
You can do it more on your own time. Like, even if you have a full-time job, support job, you can come home and you can tape at night. Now, you do have to find your readers, which is can be a challenge, but I'm lucky. My husband has been a session director for commercials 4 years. So he can not only tape me, he can also read with me. So I kind of have it easier than some actors. Although I know a lot of people that use their spouses as their readers, even if they're not actors. So there's that. There's the more flexibility of time. There's also the ability to watch your audition and either do it again because you don't really like what you did, or do several takes and then choose the best one. So I feel like in that way you have a little bit more control over the audition that you ultimately send,
Yeah.
that people ultimately see. So for that reason, I don't mind self tapes. I kind of made my peace with them because they're not going away.
Yeah.
But I really would like to have at least in-person callbacks, because if you get through that first round with your tape and then you get to go in and have a casting director work with you one-on-one, that would be ideal.
Is there one character or particular role that is your dream role? You really wish you could play that?
I've fallen in love with Jean Smart in Hacks, and I would love to do a role like that where it's a comedy, but there's also some real moments of poignant moments.
Right.
I love things like that, and I would love to do a role like that. And Jean Smart has become one of my favorite actresses, and I think it's so great because here we're opening up opportunities for women over 60. I mean, even over 70 now, which is a really, really, it's really important, I think, because so many actresses they want to act until they can't walk, or maybe even when they're in a wheelchair. It's not something you want to give up, right, as long as you're still breathing. So a role like that would be, I think would be my dream.
Right. Is there any particular actor or actress that inspires you or you look up to?
Well, I just mentioned Jean Smart. And I love the work. I love Brie Larson in Lessons in Chemistry, the show that she did last year. I love Jessica Lange. I think the work that she's done over her career has been amazing. So, I think Jessica Lange would be someone that I really look up to. I know Brie Larson is much younger than me, so it's kind of hard, but I really admire her work a lot.
Okay.
I would say Jessica Lange.
Okay, Jessica Lange. Well, we'll see if we can get in touch with her. Maybe we get the two of you on this show at some point. Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be amazing.
That would be great. Okay, so let's talk about you a little. You're into yoga, right? Tell me about your approach to staying fit and your approach to yoga.
Okay. Well, I think, staying fit, as a dancer, I could not exercise it. I grew up in dance class every day. And at some point when I stopped dancing, I started doing Pilates. I did spinning and step classes. I used to teach those two things. And I actually went to Pilates before I discovered yoga. I think Pilates and yoga are very similar in how they work your body, but yoga has a much more meditative quality to it that I think is important, especially in our daily lives now where we're so bombarded all the time with the news, and that, we have our phones that we get notifications all the time. So to be able to take that time every day and breathe and just sort of let the world go is so important to our mental health, and I think to our physical health too, because yoga builds strength and balance, and it's just an all-round good exercise for your body.
Right. Do you have a particular a spiritual path or belief system that helps you with your meditation?
Well, I do, but it's not. It's definitely more a spiritual path than a religious path. I mean, I grew up in the South, so I grew up going to church all the time and loved that. But I think my spiritual path is more open, more. I know there's a power out there, a universal power that we all tap into.
Right.
That it can guide us if we listen. And sometimes, I know all of us probably go off and don't listen, but when you're doing the meditation, then you can listen inside yourself. You can hear the guidance that's there for you if you listen to it. And I just think that's really, really important.
Right.
I think it's really important for us to open up like that and allow our judgments of other people to go away, and even our judgments of ourselves to go away.
Right.
And just accept
Yeah.
accept who we are, accept other people, and always be led by love. And I think that's what the universal spirit is, love.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to try to follow that every day.
Are there any particular authors or books that have helped guide you?
Well, the one that's coming to mind right now is a woman that lives in LA. Her name is Susan Taylor Shire, and she is a spiritual coach. And I just got her latest book on Kindle. I haven't started reading it yet, but she's very much in that realm of love. Everything is about love,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it comes down to. And loving yourself, loving the planet, loving all the creatures, and gratitude, having gratitude for everything, gratitude for everything you have.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really a good example of her philosophy. It's just part of it. It's part of it.
Right.
Um,
So what is your philosophy? I mean, you've mentioned some of it just then, but tell me about your philosophy of life.
I think it's really important to try to stay in touch with us, with ourselves, and understand that we are here to enjoy this life we have.
Mm-hmm.
We are here to bring love on the planet. And what our purpose, it's hard sometimes to know what our purpose in life is, but if there's something we're drawn to, for me, since I've always been drawn to acting, for me, that is about communicating with the rest of the world, in whatever platform I have. And communication to me is a way to bring people together. It's a way for people to see that we're all really much more alike than we are different. And I think that's really important in this life. It's really important in our country right now for people to understand that we have so much more in common than we have differences, and that we need to concentrate on that and expand that instead of expanding our differences and our dislikes and maybe even our hatred for the other. I think it's just that. I think it's tapping into following your heart, finding your purpose, and usually the thing that you really want to do in your heart more than anything else, that's more than likely that's your purpose. Because there have been a lot of times where I thought, I'm just going to give up. I'm going to not act anymore. I'm going to give up because it's frustrating. It's difficult. But something in me always pushes me forward. No, this is what you want to do. This is what you love. And I think so that for that reason, I think that it's my purpose. And that a good part of that is communicating with other people.
Yeah. As an entertainer, of course, we're in a world where there is so much division. It seems to be us and them. As an entertainer, what rewards you about that? Communicating with other people and getting a character across. What do you draw from that?
It's a deep satisfaction in sharing my vulnerability with other people. I think that's what people see, and it's what draws people in. And sort of having the courage to do that authentically took me a long time to get there because I was very shy as a kid. And being able to just be authentic in my work, in acting, and allowing myself to be out there, open, my heart open, my emotions on my sleeve, all of those things. And I'm really proud of myself that I worked through that and overcame the shyness that held that back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people see that in your work. I think they see that, and they appreciate it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do. They definitely see it in your work. You mentioned vulnerabilities. What makes you feel vulnerable?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure exactly how to answer it. I think you mean vulnerable me personally, or how do I find that vulnerability in my work? I don't.
Actually, kind of both, but personally.
Yeah. Well, all the normal, a lot of the fears we have in life of not being appreciated, ending up not making a living, being afraid that you're not good enough. That's kind of a scary one, and that's, I think, plagues a lot of actors. Like, I'm an imposter, the imposter syndrome. I'm not really good at doing anything. Also, when I think about things in the world that are unjust,
right,
makes me feel deeply, deeply sad, which makes me vulnerable. And that's anything from animal abuse to child abuse to anything like that. Makes me feel very, very deeply sad and upset with the world. That makes me feel very vulnerable.
Are you a part of any particular causes?
Well, I'm a member of PETA.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sometimes that's unpopular. But I'm a vegan.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, I really feel strongly about animals being treated justly. And like I said, any cause, anything that is fighting for justice, I'm down for that. Like, even like I said, picketing for the strike, because I see that fair pay and fair working conditions, and not letting AI take our jobs away.
Yeah.
Those are all just causes. Women's rights are just causes. And my email every day is tons and tons of social causes. So being able to write letters, donate when I can, standing up for women, for children, for the environment. I do what I can for all of those causes.
Uh-huh. Well, what are your thoughts on AI and the entertainment industry?
It's a very scary proposition, I think. It was one of the reasons why the strikes went on so long last year. And many people in SAG feel like we could have stayed out longer because we wanted stronger AI protections.
Mm-hmm.
That the union said, no, we've got to at least get these protections now, so that we can always be notified when they want to use our likeness, and we can be paid for it. And we have the right to say, no, I don't want that done. So we got those protections, or at least the beginning of those protections. But then I still see things creeping in, like people's likenesses being stolen without their permission.
Right.
People's voices being used without their permission. So I think we've still got a struggle on our hands. Although Governor of California just signed a bill that will not allow AI to be used in the state, and anything used in the state without permission. fake videos, and I think that includes fake campaign videos, fake anything. It kind of put into the state law what SAG put into our contracts.
Right.
So I'm hoping that will help, because I think technology is moving faster now than it was even last year. So it's a threat. So I'm just hoping that we can come along and strengthen our protections each time. Even with the next contract, we need federal laws. There's one in the works. I don't remember the details of it, but we need federal protection. Now that California has done it, that's fine. But if you're shooting out of state, are you covered by that law? I don't think so.
Right.
You're covered for what is in your contract under SAG. But yeah, I think it's something we have to stay vigilant about. I think the audiences want to see humans
Right.
on screen. I don't think they want to see AI. But technology is improving so fast that I just hope that someday AI is not so perfected that people can't tell the difference.
Right.
I wonder if they really ever can, because there's a spontaneity. There's a difference between a human being and an AI generated
Character.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you think that we'll ever see a movie that is 100% CGI, AI written, AI music, AI voiceovers, and avatars instead of actual actors, and the entire 90-minute movie has no people in it, no actual places, no properties, just artificial intelligence?
That's a scary thought. I don't think right now last year they didn't have the technology to do more than a few minutes of an AI character, AI scene that would be believable. The technology is progressing very fast. Will it be possible someday? It might. Will it actually be able to be done? I don't know, because the laws will be in place, hopefully, that will stop it. But so I hope it's not possible, but there are people that will probably push for that. However, right now, it would be very expensive to do that.
Yeah.
It would be much more expensive to do that than to have humans, working in it.
Yeah, but I think what they're looking at is you don't have to pay employees. You don't have to pay for sets. You don't have to have buildings to house those sets. You don't have to pay electricians or carpenters to come in and build and wire up sets. And they see it as, we can put 5 guys in a room with computers and make an entire 90-minute movie and make millions of dollars off of it, and you didn't have to pay anybody for it. So it is scary that, like you say, that AI could conceivably take over. Economically, maybe it would be a good thing for them, but audiences would miss the people that are involved. And that's kind of my feelings on it, is people want to be able to go to a convention and meet an actor or an actress and think, wow, I met her, or I met him because he was in that show, and it takes that human element out of it, and you're just watching essentially very good cartoons. So I agree with you on that. AI it's really a horrible thing when you think about it from a creative point of view, right?
Yes, I do think it's a horrible thing. I wish it had never been introduced into the entertainment industry. Because it's such a slippery slope. And I sometimes I go, these tech guys, because it was tech guys from Silicon Valley that weren't even in the entertainment industry at all that started pushing it and developing it. And that makes me a little bit angry that they've done this to our industry. I keep coming back to what you just said, that humans want to see other humans.
Right.
And humans are very unpredictable, and the best actors are completely unpredictable in their work. That's why you're so fascinated by them. And I don't think AI would ever be able to completely replicate that.
Exactly.
So,
Okay. Well, what's next for Julia Sanford? What are you getting into right now?
I'd love to. Speaking of stage work, I would love to do a play.
Hmm.
Um, I, that's what I haven't done a play since 2019, before the pandemic, when everything shut down, and and it became a little scary for a while, the thoughts of doing a play.
Uh-huh.
Um, I've done a couple of readings since then and had a great time. Like, it was really nice to be back on stage. So I'm looking for a play.
A play.
Uh,
Any specific play you'd like to be in?
I don't know. I don't know. The My favorite plays in the past, I've done Steel Magnolias several times for
Hmm.
Southern Girl. That's one of the best. And working with women, and it's also one of those plays where you have tears and laughter side by side. I love that. But I've also done some original plays that were really wonderful and challenging. So um, I don't know. I don't have anything that anything specific yet that comes to mind. You do get a lot of original scripts in around LA. A lot of people want to, do their plays first and then maybe turn them into a film or something like that.
Mm.
Um, so I'm really open to anything.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a website, or do you do cameos, or how would someone who wanted to approach you about a play, how would they get in touch with you?
I do have a website. It's juliasanfordactress.com.
Hmm.
I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, and what else am I on? TikTok. um, yeah, so yeah, just Julia Sanford. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook.
And we can find you and get in touch with you. Julia, thank you so much for being my guest. You
Oh,
you are fabulous, and I love your work, and I love you too, and I am so proud that you came on my show.
it's so nice of you, Jay. I really appreciate you asking me. And it's really been nice to talk to you. It's been a lot of fun.
It has. It has. Okay, we'll see you next time on The
All
Jay
right.
Michael Show.
Goodbye.